All right, we can go ahead and get started. I'm now going to call to order the meeting of October 26th, 2020. Would the Deputy Speaker please call the attendance?
Senator Arne Arkin.
Here.
Senator Baker.
Here.
Senator Belay.
Present.
Senator Dillingham.
Here.
Senator Hawk.
Here.
Senator Hathaway.
Here.
Senator Cosme. Senator Liang.
Here.
Senator Liverpool. Senator Nadeem. Senator Chongase.
Here.
Senator Ramirez.
Here.
Senator Rogers.
Here.
Senator Sadi. Senator Salimi.
Here.
Senator Tulloch.
Here.
Senator Yoon.
Here.
Okay, if Senators Cosme, Liverpool, Nadeem, or Sadi are here, please tell me in the chat right now. Otherwise, it's 13 present, 4 absent.
Senator Sadi is present, as is Senator Belay.
Oh, no, yeah, Liverpool, Nadeem, Sadi, and Cosme are the 4. So Senator Sadi is here, you said?
As a note for senators, if at all possible, please try to turn on your camera and remember to mute during the meeting.
I see Senators Sadi and Cosme, so I guess I'll count them as here. Senators Nadeem and Liverpool. Okay, so 15 present, 2 absent.
All right, we're now going to sing the Genesee. Full many fair and famous streams beneath the sun there be, yet more to us than any seems our own dear Genesee. We love her banks and stately falls, for to our minds they bring our dear old alma mater's halls, where sweetest memories cling. As flows the river gathering force along her steadfast way, may we along life's devious course grow stronger day by day, and may our hearts where'er we roam forever loyal be to our beloved college home beside the Tennessee. All right, we're now going to read the land acknowledgement. Would a senator like to read the acknowledgement? Senator Salimi.
We would like to acknowledge with respect the Seneca Nation, known as the Great Hill People and keepers of the western door of the I'm so sorry if I pronounce this wrong, Haudenosaunee Confederacy. We take this opportunity to thank the original caretakers on whose ancestral lands the University of Rochester currently resides in Rochester, New York.
Thank you. We're now going to move into open forum. Are there any points of discussion for open forum? Senator Salimi.
Yeah, so I had some students bring these concerns to me like in the last couple of days because we're like nearing Thanksgiving and when we all go back for the rest of the semester. UHS doesn't allow people to be tested like unless they're showing symptoms and stuff. And a lot of students want to get tested before they leave for home because they just want to be safe and make sure that they're negative before leaving so they don't, you know, if they are positive and stuff, they don't give the virus to their parents or like spread it further. So I had students ask if like Senate can do anything about it. I yield.
Senator Hawk.
Hi, so we brought this up during our first campus services committee meeting 2 weeks ago, and I reached out to Dr. Manchester and a few other people, Linda Dudman from UHS, I think as well, and they reached out to me. They got back to me last week saying that end of October, they should be releasing a statement saying that students will be able to request for testing before they travel at the end of the semester, and they're currently working with ISO to work with to find out what each country's requirements are to see what students require. But they said that they will arrange for that and that students will be able to request for testing before they leave. I yield.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Asana. I yield.
Senator Cosme.
Yeah, I was largely going to just reiterate what Osama said, but also on top of that, I think one of the relatively lesser known options that a lot of students have is that they can sign up for online testing without necessarily even being asked by anybody from UHS. So you can use the online portal on UHS Connect to do that. Unless there's a specific reason that's provided by UHS for them not to get tested, they can't really go through with it. So I'd encourage students who believe they need to be tested to just use the online portal to sign up. And if there's an issue thereafter, they can contact UHS, but it's unlikely that there will be.
Do you yield?
My bad. Yes, I yield.
Senator Ramirez.
They mentioned what I wanted to talk about, but yeah, I yield.
Senator Liang.
I would like to yield to Mike Greenberg in the gallery.
Yeah, so this is just sort of a kind of niche thing, but obviously this is a fully remote semester, or not fully, but like it can be. And obviously I live in Riverview. I live in the same suite as Xander. And you might notice the Wi-Fi sort of isn't great in Riverview. And I think that that's something that I've noticed being worse recently. I don't know if that's something that SA should look into, but sort of I've noticed a lot more recently. Your connection was unstable. And I think that that's something that probably is a bad thing, given that this semester, a lot of classes are fully virtual. And probably there are a lot of other people in Riverview especially, and I know Riverview is weirdly owned by some other company that the university sort of borrows Riverview, but I think that that's something that probably affects other dorms too, and is important to care about this semester for sure. I yield.
I yield back
Senator
to
Liang.
I yield back to the floor.
Senator Cosme.
Yeah, just to elaborate on the Wi-Fi situation as well. We have reached out to Vice President Lewis before as well about this issue, and plan on sending an email this week again because we haven't really heard back about this issue earlier. The only response that we've gotten from IT at large, especially through channels of ResLife, is that they're encouraging students to use as much of the Ethernet facility as possible because that still seems to be working as effectively. Because they hadn't anticipated as much load and bandwidth load onto the school internet. They're kind of struggling with it, but they are planning to make some changes, hopefully over towards the spring, to make those changes. But again, I'll still say that we're waiting on a response from Vice President Lewis to sort of get a better idea of what exactly those changes are going to be. I yield.
Senator Baker.
I will say for me, like I'm in a review and it's really quite terrible. I'm literally on RC guest right now. However, I did reach out and they actually came and tried to fix it. They didn't actually fix it, but there's clearly an initiative. So if that encourages anybody, the school responded when I said I don't have Wi-Fi. So I yield.
All right, are there any other points of discussion for open forum? All right, we can go into old business. We have a new section on the agenda for coronavirus related response issues or concerns from students. So is there any discussion, any questions related to this topic that perhaps is not covered under a senator update or committee update? Seeing none, we can go to senator updates. Is there any discussion for senator updates? Seeing none, we can move to legislative committees for academic affairs. Would any of the senators like to describe the general contents of the meeting for this week?
Sorry, Xander, can we go back to senator updates?
Sure. Let's finish up the academic affairs discussion and then we can move back to senator updates.
All right, no worries.
I can talk for, oh, I didn't even ask to talk.
No, go ahead.
I'm so
Senator
sorry.
Tulloch.
I'm so sorry, y'all. So I can talk about a few things that were going on. So I talked about my Writing 105 project. I presented at the College Diversity Roundtable as well as the Curriculum Committee, and most people or faculty within the Curriculum Committee were very supportive of the project and wanted to hear more about it. I've also been having conversations with Jessica Guzman-Ray and kind of looking at how we could support faculty members through that, or through the addition of the change within Writing 105. So that's something that's going on, and potentially writing some type of resolution around that. Talking about academic burnout and such, I think that the efforts this semester have been, great. And I think that it would be amazing to start those efforts for next semester now, just because I think that it's better to get on it now more than we get there. We figure out we're going to be tired again, and then that's when we start the advocacy. So just having those conversations now, potentially putting a resolution in place. If anybody wants to get on that, just reach out, I guess. Lab fees. We're looking to find our original survey from last year. We had already gotten student feedback about the lab fees and continuing, I guess, advocacy on that. I have been hearing back from students who I had contact with last year, and they still have the same issue of sometimes not being able to afford their lab fees. So that's another conversation. And then also with the Deb Rosanil from Writing, Speaking, and Argument, she's the director, just kind of having a meeting with her to see her feedback on the project as well for Writing 105. I don't know if any of the other senators on academics have other additions.
Yeah, I can talk about some of the things that I brought up. I guess the main points last week, I was able to meet with Emily and Alan, who are in charge of who are very informed about the university's accreditation, how the 2-day break would have an impact on the university accreditation. Tomorrow morning, I'll be meeting with Dean Runner, along with President Gorka and the SAA president from Eastman, as well as a couple of senators, just to see what we can actually get, what we can actually do for our students regarding this break and addressing just burnout, and hopefully being able to talk a little bit into what we can at least initiate the conversation about what are we going to do for next semester, because this is probably going to be a similar issue that we face next semester as well, as Senator Tulloch mentioned. Yeah.
All right, if there's no other discussion, I can turn it over to President Gorka.
Hi, awesome. So I'm coming on 2 different devices again. I know that we were reaching out to Dean Hall, Dean Heiselman, and Dean Culver, but I was wondering if there were still any senators, specifically with the Academic Affairs Committee, that we're going to reach out to the Faculty Senate. I remember this was like a discussion point, I think like 2 weeks ago, to potentially come into one of their Senate meetings. I don't know if you guys were still considering that at all, because I think it'd also be helpful to just kind of articulate the student perspective and kind of build that pathos to the faculty. But yeah, if I can yield to anybody that I guess wanted to comment on that, or if anybody's already in contact with any of the co-chairs. Okay, I'm gonna take that as a no. Okay.
Senator, you can yield to Senator Tulloch.
Oh, I didn't even see the hand raised. Okay, Senator Tulloch, I yield to you.
Yeah, that isn't something that we have gotten on yet. I don't think we mentioned it within the last informal meeting, but definitely something we can get on, and I'll reach out to you after to kind of coordinate that.
Perfect. Then can I just yield to Senator Liang?
If it's not related to a question, could I ask that you yield and then have Senator Liang just get yielded to?
Sure, I yield to the floor.
Senator Liang.
Yeah, this is somewhat, well, I guess related to the burnout issue. Yeah, so I was CC'd on an email from Senator Sadi and Alexander regarding that conversation. I think one of the things that I'm concerned about is also that, like, even if the administration sends a letter to faculty, I think faculty are quite defensive of their pedagogy as a whole. And I think that's going to be really important. Like, it's not going to be just like, you know, you get a letter from admin and you're going to do whatever admin says, because we are a private university with research and, like, you know, like groups of professors hold a lot of power in various situations. I think that that's going to be the site of convincing. It's not going to be like, you know, the dean emailing them suddenly sort of like holding a lot of weight. Rather, it should be, it should include a conversation with every department head, especially since they have more direct control over whether or not professors teach in particular ways, administer exams in particular ways, especially within STEM departments where all the exams are standardized across the courses. So that's something to be thinking about as well. I yield.
All right, is there any other discussion for academic affairs? Senator Hathaway.
So I see how it says for the grading policy that nothing can be done at this point. I've had a lot of people reach out about like the burnout problem, the online class format, the tests being made harder because they're online. So I'm just wondering, like, if that's final, that there's not going to be any changes, or if there's still discussions, or what's happening with that.
You can, if you want to yield and allow senators to, if that's your only question, then you can yield, and there are a couple senators who have raised their hand.
Yeah, I'll yield.
Senator Tulloch.
I was gonna say, just personal opinion, I really don't think that much change is going to be done this semester to how it's looking, just because I feel as though, let me go back and say, on a university level, I don't feel like much is going to happen. I feel like if more advocacy was done on the statewide level, like some people really turned up and did something statewide, then something could change. But I do see that the university has certain things that they have to follow, even though I do think it could be more lenient. So at this point during this semester, I think that there's ways that we could emphasize making the systems in place easier. But I don't think that a huge change could be made this semester. But also, as Senator Liang put it, pass-fail is still an option, not to the point where you can pass-fail everything, but definitely still within some realm. I yield.
Senator Ramirez.
Yeah, just as Senator Tuck mentioned, we probably like it's unlikely that anything is gonna happen. Um, at this point in time, we can probably start discussion to see maybe a better alternative for next semester, but we have to keep in mind how this affects the school's accreditation. Like, it's just a lot of like um adjust a lot of policies that we would have to get around with in order to attempt anything. One thing that they did mention is like we could possibly ask for extensions on deadlines, and that admin would probably be able to sympathize a lot better towards that. But yeah, like pass fail is still an option to some degree. Um, and yeah, but yeah, like honestly, at this point, I do not think uh any major change is not going to happen regarding that.
Do you yield?
Yes, sorry.
Senator Sadi?
So if it's about like the if it's about the pass fail system, I think like the deadline could be like postponed and people could like go for the pass fail option. But we did a poll, right? So in the poll, like most of the students wanted a more forgiving or lenient grading, not like the unlimited pass fail system. And if it's a unlimited pass fail system, like most of the students might get affected because of the scholarship systems or some of the scholarship requirements and stuff like that. So even if we like don't go for the unlimited pass fail system, the deadline could be like extended, as well as if we were talking about a meeting with the dean of faculty, Dean Hall. So if we have that meeting, I think we can like at least address the situation or talk to Dean Hall about the current situation, about how the exams are going, how the students are like feeling overburdened with the hard questions, or there isn't enough leniency in the grading, and there is a lot of differences people are facing right now. So this is not how like the faculty or the teachers should be acting towards the students during this COVID situation, because most of the students who are like or remote or even in the campus, they don't have all the resources to like study effectively, or you can't like actually learn properly over Zoom a class that was like supposed to be held on campus. So I guess if we could like explain it to him, I think we can get some feedback from him, even if it's not like him sending a direct email to the faculty. Rather, if he gives us some sort of feedback, then we could like reach out to some of the, for example, the program coordinators of each majors or something like that, and we can think about that further ahead, I guess. Please let me know like if you think the same. Yeah, I yield.
All right, is there any other discussion? Senator Liang?
Yeah, I just have one last thing. In regards to reaching out to Dean Hall, I think that's a great idea. I think that it is likely the case that academic affairs might consider doing both at the same time, such that when you meet with Dean Hall, you can say, here are all of the department heads that we talk to, or here are all the program coordinators that we talk to. Here's what they are willing to do. And with that, I'm sure the administration broadly would be more willing to do what we are asking them to do. And if all of the program coordinators somehow agree or are moved towards agreeing, then that translates into like more, I guess, concrete good for students. So I would consider like splitting off the task, giving it to multiple people, and then seeing if everything can be done at the same time. I yield.
Any other discussion for academic affairs? All right, we can move to ARC, administration review.
So I have a quick correction on the 4 probationary hearings for this week's ARC meeting. It's 3 now. But other than that, everything is right there.
Is there any discussion or questions or concerns for administration review? All right, we can go to appropriations.
Yeah, I got nothing but what's on the page in front of you.
Any discussion or questions? All right, campus services.
Just a second. All right. So we've had a number of things going on that we've been working on. The number one thing is today's installation. Campus Services is working on a survey that we'll hopefully have for our next meeting this week specifically. We plan to sort of pass the survey through the committee, and then hopefully we'll forward it to the speaker, and hopefully we can get some feedback on whether we can publish it or not. At the same time, we're also working on a mental health ambassador /MERT/PubSafe initiative. Rusama and Adrij are sort of taking the lead on that. It's effectively working on finding a way to make sure that we have mental health trained ambassadors or peer mental health advocates at any situation where there is a mental health call or a mental health issue going on campus. It's still in the works. They've sent out emails to PubSafe, and also they're in conversation with Active Minds just to figure out what's the most efficient and effective course of action from here. Rusama's actively been taking the lead on SAD lamps and their distribution. We're working on setting up a CCC event whereby we can give away up to 100 SAD lamps. Likely we'll be able to give away 94 to 95. 5 to 6 of those will be kept in reserve in case somebody's SAD lamp isn't working. We're still figuring out the specific logistics of it, but it's already in the process. And Eric from WCSA, I believe, is sort of coordinating the specific logistics of it as we speak nowadays. The next thing is COVID testing before students go on leave. I think Iman brought that issue up. Senator Salimi brought that issue up at the start of the Senate meeting. It's already been addressed. UHS has worked with ISO to figure out what countries will specifically mandate or have already mandated negative COVID test results before students are allowed to board a plane, or anybody is allowed to board a plane to those countries. UHS will definitely be providing testing to the students who will be heading to those countries, but also at the same time, they're trying to figure out if they can sort of extend the same testing policy to all other students who want to get tested, just so that they don't take it back home. We'll have more updates about that hopefully within this week, but even at this given point, students can go onto the online UHS Campus Connect, UHS Connect website to sign up for specific slots for COVID testing, and they can get it done without any issues unless they're reached out to by a UHS representative stating that they're not allowed to test, which again hasn't happened so far, so they can go ahead and do that. As far as Aramark, harvest table, and impact petition, and the impact petition regarding Aramark is concerned, we're still struggling on that. Dining services has consistently been facing issues with staffing. They've had issues with absenteeism of late, and we also postponed our dining services student advisory board meeting because it coincides with a Office of Equity and Inclusion Black Voices event. And we're hoping to have the dining services student advisory board meeting next week instead of this week, where the Aramark and harvest table issue is one of the pertinent issues that we plan to discuss. We do have percentages of how the school's money, as in the money that school makes from dining services, is sort of distributed in terms of management, staff, and what amount of that money goes to harvest table for management, et cetera, et cetera. However, we don't have the specific numbers. An alternative that we're potentially considering is the same alternative that universities like Duke University has been using, which is instead of having a specific management company take over, have specific caterers come in and deal with specific issues with specific dietary needs on campus. To be able to propose that or give suggestions on that, we still need to get more information from CAM, and specifically in terms of numbers, which we still haven't. So we're just waiting on that to be able to make any further recommendations. The next thing is brown versus white/bleached paper towels, which is we're trying to push the school to install more brown paper towels as opposed to white bleach ones, largely because bleached paper towels, A, cost more, B, end up using more water to produce, and C, also require more tree to produce because a lot of the tree largely gets bleached off and is wasted in the process. Brown paper towels are much more eco-sustainable, eco-friendly, and also much cheaper. So that's one of the initiatives that we're pushing on through facilities and Res Life. We're still waiting on a response on that, but just wanted to update Senate on that. So if anybody has thoughts or opinions on that, feel free to share that. We do plan to bring up the idea of a 5 to 10% reduction in plastic use on campus, as that was one of the initial agenda items that campus services had at the start of the year. I've pushed for it in my direct one-on-one meetings with Cam, but we're also trying to push through for that in the Dining Services Student Advisory Board Committee meeting, which will now be next week. The only issue with that so far is that because almost all of what students are getting now is takeout, some of the sort of paper containers that we're using are not as sustainable or as usable or not as efficient as they'd hoped for. And they start leaking and aren't able to carry the food for as long as students often need to, because of which the school is hesitant to sort of switch completely to plastics, with the exception of specific areas where students either don't have meals that will start to leak through them, or where students can take those meals up to, say, the ballroom and have a meal there without having to actually carry the meal for a while. And the last thing is we've reached out back to the Black Lives Matter petition authors with updates regarding Aramark and the Douglas Leadership House, which is also something that Advija has been working on. And I believe Senator Baker has been actively giving some advice to Advija, our legislative advisor, on understanding the constitution of the Douglas Leadership House and how she can navigate the process of actively advocating for the permanency of the Leadership House, especially considering how they've been promised that for years. That's largely it for me. I believe our legislative advisor, Lumi, is on the call, and she will be taking lead on the All Gender Restrooms monthly update. So here is to our Queen Lumi.
I'm going to request that we sort of split it to do anything campus services related, since we have some people on the speakers list perhaps to ask questions. And then we can move to the All Gender Restroom update and then do questions on that update, if that's all right with you.
Of course.
All right, Senator Tulloch.
Hey, great updates. I just wanted to know, for the Mental Health Ambassadors MERT PubSafe collaboration, what exact role is public safety playing in your proposed plan?
I'm so sorry, can you repeat that, Andre?
So for the Mental Health Ambassadors, what role do you guys see public safety playing within that project?
So I think one of the key things that we're trying to figure out, and we plan on sort of collaborating directly with Student Life effectively, is figuring out how we can take the dispatcher from public safety and have them actively work towards dispatching mental health trained professionals or peer, like students who've been trained in sort of as mental health advocates, instead of dispatching actual public safety officers unless there's an active violent situation. So the role of public safety at this given point, at least as far as I understand it, is likely to just be as a dispatcher, hopefully. Of course, it's a very long process before we actively get to that point. But the long-term goal is to only use public safety as a sort of resource for us to redirect the information about, say, a mental health hygiene call to the appropriate people, until and unless we have actual active dispatchers who can be specifically used for that purpose that don't fall under the public safety sort of team.
For sure, I yield.
Senator Baker.
Yeah, so two things just to add on to Andre's question. MERT is sort of attached to public safety, like not in the sense of like they directly, I guess, like take orders for them really, but like a lot of these things are connected, so you can't really, like, you need to reach out to MERT. You can't really reach out to MERT with something like a project this scale without also reaching out to public safety. And so a lot of these things are kind of interconnected. But anyway, I raised my hand just because I wanted to expand on something that Sabi was saying about Duke. So in terms of how Duke runs their dining hall, they use a lot of local businesses and a lot of local chefs. Like a lot of their chefs literally went to the community college, like in Durham. There was like a culinary community college there until like a couple years ago. So a lot of their chefs are from there. The thing is, our university, even when it comes to catering, just has like these impossible standards, especially when it comes to insurance, on who can come to campus even to cater an event. And so that would be difficult they would have to change a lot of their expectations in order to get enough businesses in Rochester to be able to feed students all the time. Another strength, I guess, of Duke's model is that they can have a lot of different cultural foods so that everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people can feel recognized through culinary cuisine. And frankly, like U of R just doesn't have that much diversity in terms of who owns the businesses that are allowed to be catered. So it would be a really big step to try to mimic Duke. It does kind of seem ideal. And Duke is ranked #1 in dining in terms of universities, but you know, we're a different institution and we're starting from a different place and we have certain hurdles, but we are looking into the best option. I yield.
All right, Senator Hawk.
Thank you, Senator Baker, for that. I think that was a really important point to bring up. I really wanted to speak a little bit to Andre's question, Senator Tulloch's question. I understand that this is like a very big scale project and the mental health ambassador project. What the end goal ultimately we're looking for is to separate public safety from specifically just mental health specific calls. But it's a long-term process and it's going to take a lot. As far as reaching out to MERT is concerned, that is something that I'm working on for this week. I was supposed to do that last week, but I got caught up with a lot of health stuff. It's been a crazy week. But hopefully this week I'm going to reach out to both MERT and the mental health ambassador team that Justina was talking about, possibly to Ian, and go from there. But we'll have more updates on this in the following weeks to come. But if anyone has any questions or wants to talk further about this initiative, then please feel free to reach out to me personally and we can work on it together. Thank you. I yield.
All right, is there any other discussion for campus services before we move into all gender restrooms? Senator Liang?
I'd like to yield to Micah Greenberg in the gallery, please.
Yeah, so I might have missed this under academics. I was heating up food, honestly. But I was sort of wondering what the update was on the possibility of adding more days to break because of the petition and all. So I yield.
Could I request that information, that you watch the first part of the recording of Senate, or that you reach out to myself and or any of the senators on academic affairs? I'm happy to provide a list of those names that was covered briefly during the academic affairs portion. All right, Senator Liang, you have the floor.
I yield. Thank you.
All right, any other discussion for campus services? All right, all gender restrooms. Lumi, you have the floor.
Okay, hi Senate. So as per Resolution 64, I am providing you with your monthly update on all gender restrooms for October. So this month's update is going to focus on our goals for the year. And then I'll give a couple of other small updates afterwards. So our first goal for the year is to work with the all gender restroom student representatives. Applications for that, by the way, are currently open, and the deadline is this Friday. We did have an interview, and that was this weekend. Additionally, we're looking to meet with Jeff Foster from facilities. We were actually going to try and have a meeting last spring, and that fell through because of COVID. And we'll be discussing all gender restroom plans and implementation at that when it happens. I'm also planning to reach out to operations, and I want the initiative to review all current renovation plans to ensure that our all gender restroom requirements are being met. Going to be staying in touch with Carl Raymond and Jessica Guzman-Ray at the BIC. And I guess the two biggest things are we're looking to reach out specifically to Mercedes to Mercedes' office, the Office of Equity and Inclusion, to try and institute university-wide policy change, as well as the Office of the President. So especially with that, we're already going to be reaching out this week to try and set up a meeting with the Office of Equity and Inclusion. And we'll be working with a few other departments, such as Title IX as well. And the Office of the Dean of Students, in particular, and Emery Algier, Laura Ballou, and Dean Burns will be kept up to date on the initiative this year. And we'll see what other departments at the school are potentially might end up involved. I did have a meeting this past week with Dean Burns, and the two of us discussed plans for the coming year and how the initiative might be impacted due to the pandemic. So these goals, we think, should be pretty much in line with what we were trying to get done this year for the most part, and are achievable given the circumstances. And that's it. So I'm happy to take any questions senators or the gallery may have on this. Thank you.
All right, any questions, comments, or concerns for Lumi or the All Gender Restroom project? All right, student life.
All right, cool. Yeah, so in the name of harm reduction, we worked together with a couple more senators as well as the admin to have a ton of fun programming for the Friday and Saturday of Halloween weekend, and potentially, yeah, basically that. So I guess highlights from that. So we successfully convinced the administration to have a bar on campus. So it says potentially, but we got that confirmed this morning, which is pretty cool. So yeah, there will be a bar in Hearst. COVID guidelines apply. So that's all of the Halloween weekend festivities. That's really an all hands on deck. It would be cool if everyone could come. Everyone could bring like 3 friends or something, or bring your suite, bring your living group. In addition to that, AMA is trying to get fire pits set up on the Wilson Commons like front porch thing. And if anyone wants to volunteer for that, fire pit training is on Friday at 2. In addition to that, there are people who have agreed to staff the bar, but we are still looking for people for 10 to 11 p.m. If you can do that, feel free to DM me, and then I can send an email along to AMA. Yeah, so that's Halloween weekend stuff. Woo, harm reduction. In addition to that, we met with Kyle this morning to clarify the work commitment. And we're gonna come up, so we came up with a PSA for distribution on Thursday morning of Halloween weekend. It clarifies 3 questions. The first question is, does conduct apply off campus? The second question is, what should students be thinking about during Halloween weekend? And 3, will the sanctions be different for Halloween weekend as opposed to, any other time where you would get caught? So the answers to that will be coming out in that PSA on Thursday morning or Wednesday evening. So we'll figure that out. Yeah, committee operations, we interviewed LAs. We're hoping to finalize at the end of this week. And in addition to that, we voted to approve PPM changes. So 3 changes. We corrected the mistake in the first section. We have a less punitive attendance policy now, where you're not automatically placed on the agenda for removal after a certain number of absences. And also we unanimously voted to approve the Equity and Inclusion Climate Board, which has been a long time coming. So congratulations, Senator Rogers, for getting that through. And yeah, in terms of that, we spent the last 2 weeks almost like emergency planning Halloween weekend related things, but then also working on typical projects. So MERT ambulance project, a survey that's going out to the first years that we talked about, or that Senator Dillingham talked about in Climate and Care. So we're going to be collaborating with the mental health task forces, as well as Mary Halm, who's a peer health advocate at UHS, at the health promotion office. And we're going to continue working on finding ways to, I guess, like develop community buffers for mental health In addition to that, we're going to plan to follow up on all of the BLM and URAC demands. This will likely be done jointly. Well, this will definitely be done jointly with the EICB, since that is indeed part of their purpose. And once we have new LAs, we'll start sort of, I guess, like shifting our focus from COVID-related and mental health-related things directly to anti-racism, as well as mental health-related things, since those are all ongoing. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions?
Any questions, comments, or concerns for student life? Something to note, since the PPM changes is linked there into the updates, is Senate does have the ability to overrule any committee's PPM changes with a 2/3 vote. That's just something I'm going to mention, since I'm not sure if everyone was aware of that you have on Senate. Is there any discussion for student life? Senator Liang.
Can I yield to Connor, please?
Xana, can you confirm? I'm yielded to.
Yes, you've been yielded to. Yes.
Okay. So I just wanted to say thanks to every member of the Student Life Committee for the amount of work and energy they put into making Hollow Weekend work. I know it's still mid-process, but really putting all of that together was student life first. And so I think that we were able to really mobilize a whole set of admins all across the university to get a really ambitious thing done. So I'm really looking forward to it. I know a lot of my friends who aren't involved in SA are really excited about these events. And it's my hope that we will be able to get through all of this safely and while being able to access the things that we really want to and need to access as a community. So thanks so much for that, student life, and I really appreciate the time. I yield.
Oh, I also just want to explicitly plug, like, there will be free food also, which is going to be awesome. And there's also a casino night in the May room. Yeah, so like lots of cool events. I think the social media advertisement marketing stuff is going to come out within the next day or two. Wilson Commons Activities was working on that. But yeah, it would be really cool if everyone could post on their Instagram stories and share super, super wide. Yeah, that's all I have. I yield.
All right, if there's no further discussion, we can move to ISAC, International Student Affairs.
Great. So we have a couple of updates for this week. The first update is that the ISO Student Advisory Board, I just realized I made a mistake on the agenda. It's supposed to say ISO, not ISAC. The ISO Student Advisory Board has been elected, and the first meeting is set to happen this later on this month, I believe. So for those of you who aren't on board, in the summer we asked ISO to create an advisory board because we felt like more student input was needed in a lot of ISO activities, and so that this is happening. And also the second thing is that we also asked them to have social media accounts, because we feel like their email updates sometimes aren't great. So they created a position, but they are still sort of lobbying for funding. So the position is going to be a graduate student position. It's going to be running sort of both ISO and global engagement social media accounts. And so they are also relying on the International Student Facebook page that Leah started, where we like post regular updates whenever ISO contact us. For this update, I'm going to yield to Senator Bile, and then I'll come back. I'll circle back.
Hello. So for the past 2 weeks, we've been working on the International Students Week. I have reached out to Sharafuz, who is an alumni from the University of Rochester, who is the founder of Careers and Cork. So we're talking to him about possibly like hosting workshops and like helping international students in general to apply to either grad school or job opportunities. And we will be organizing like a whole week where like students from different classes can attend these workshops at different times of the day as a way to prepare for applying to jobs or grad school by getting advice on how to build like a good looking LinkedIn profile or to make a resume or any other stuff like such as advice for interviews to either grad school or jobs. So basically, this is what we're working on. As well as I've been working on this with Yutong, who is part of legislative branch of Isaac. I yield.
Cool. So fourth update is that we summarized the DHS guidelines, and we posted them on an international students Facebook group. We so that students can have time to comment. The deadline is today at midnight. So if for anyone who's wasn't on board or still wants to comment, yeah, you can feel free to do so. We also met with students from Armenia and Nigeria this week during a committee meeting to discuss their national crises and ways to solve them. We had productive discussions with students from both countries, and they sort of, let us know how the school responded to them, or in the Nigerian case, not really said anything. If you were aware, there was a protest yesterday organized by some students from DLH and PASA, which was very successful. And we thought we came up with three legislative pieces for this week in support of that. So we also sort of are in constant communication with the students to make sure that they've seen the legislative statements and they have sort of a say in before we made sure that they see it before we present it to Senate today. And so we also emailed Dean Burns about a list of demands that are on the agenda. I'm not going to read them, but we haven't gotten a response yet. But one thing on the demand list I want to highlight is that what we want is for Dean Burns to shift responsibilities to send out public statements to the International Service Office and CCAS. And we talked to ISO and we talked to CCAS, and they were all on board. So really just the ball is in Dean Burns' court. Hopefully he responds. We're going to follow up with that. But yeah, I just want to thank really ISAC for some serious work that we did this week. And like Senator Bilay said, we're going to be focusing on the International Students Week. So much activity is planned during that week. So if anyone is interested, feel free to reach out to myself or any committee members or LAs. Let's get some work done. Thank you. I yield.
Is there any discussion or questions or concerns for International Student Affairs? President Gorka.
So I just had a question on the first point on the ISO Student Advisory Board. I was curious if you could go into a little bit about the application process or how students were selected for that board to make it really, mirror the international student population we have currently. Is this also just specifically to undergraduate ASC, or is this open to other campuses, this advisory board?
Sure. So the application process was totally ISO sort of facilitated. What they did was that they reached out to schools. They reached out to basically all the schools. So Warner, the music school, and yeah, all of them. And they sent out students. They recommended a list of students to be in the committee, and then ISO went ahead and choose them. I believe we have two for Eastman. We have an undergraduate representative and a graduate school representative, and then one from every other school. And then in our school, Ravi, the ISO director, decided that since we have regular meetings with him, it'll make sense for our committee to represent our school, since we're already doing that anyway. So, yeah, the committee consists of ISAC members and every one student from every school and two from Eastman.
All right, perfect. I yield.
All right, is there any other discussion for international student affairs? All right, we're moving to executive updates.
Perfect. Everything, I'm not going to go into it, just not to bog down updates too much, but I did want to add something to the agenda that's not there. And it's recent communications I received on like groups that are kind of meeting informally. So let me just kind of go into it. So first, I just wanted to, and just I guess as a preface, if anybody on the call with an essay is interested in attending any of these meetings, there's not like a strict representation. They're relatively open. Just let me know and I can coordinate with, the departments. But so one meeting is going to be happening, I believe in the next coming week, is the DPS Student Advisory Board. A couple of senators on the call can attest to how that advisory board works. Chief Fisher had let me know that for this year they're going to be making it open to the general student body because the Zoom format can accommodate more people on the call. So kind of updates how we've been seeing Senator Salimi about the texting initiative. There's initiatives on cataloging the calls that DPS receives more for public record. Those came out of discussions in that group. So if there's a particular DPS initiative that you'd like to propose, it'd be really beneficial for you to attend the next student advisory board meeting. So let me know if you need information on that, but it should also be accessible on their website. Another meeting that's happening relatively soon that if anybody's interested and wants to attend is, I mentioned this before, it's the Student Advisory Board for the Office of Equity and Inclusion. And that group is led by VP of Mercedes Ramirez. She is part of like the senior administrative group. So this Student Advisory Board, if you can't remember from my previous updates, was supposed to be an application type process, but they ended up opening up to anybody that was interested. They reached out to various cultural groups to get representation. And the kind of the charge for this group is just to sort of discuss on what independent initiatives we're all working on our respective groups on equity, inclusion, diversity. So if anybody's interested in wanting to attend, I'd love to have a representative from Student Life come to the meetings as well. So let me know and I can forward you along the information. The first meeting is going to be tomorrow from 1 to 2 p.m. We just got the email today to confirm. Another meeting that is relatively open if anybody wants to attend is Policy 106. So this is also under the Office of Equity and Inclusion. There was discussions prior about readdressing how Policy 106 looks in the context of this university. So I recently received communication that they're going to start that conversation up again. I was formally invited, as well as members of Beyond Consent, the president of Eastman, and I believe some graduate and SMD representation for the student side of things. So in particular, if anybody is interested in working closer with Title IX and specifically Policy 106, which for people that aren't familiar with on the call is the policy that kind of oversees sexual misconduct for faculty and staff and kind of the process on how those cases are evaluated within the university. If you're interested in those kind of discussions, it's going to be a lot of policy. So feel free to reach out to me and I can loop in you into those communications. I don't think they have a meeting scheduled yet, but I think they're trying to meet for next week. And the last update, which may or may not be, yes, it's included in my agenda on sixth bullet point, PSRB. That meeting is unfortunately not open, but I'll try to see how much I can disclose after the fact. So PSRB was mentioned a couple times in Senate, which is why I bring it up now. That is the group that essentially is like the one like accountability check on the Department of Public Safety. So why I'm mentioning this meeting is they're going to be bringing forth the proposal for Reimagine PSRB, which is what we've been discussing the last two Senate meetings, which is what, you know, we had a town hall about to seek out AS&E undergraduate student feedback. I don't know if they're going to be coming to a decision right then and there at this next meeting, but I'll update you all on progress, specifically the people like Senator Liang, Senator Rogers, that have been working closely with Thomas Gibson and the rest of our group to, you know, come to this new kind of, you know, look on accountability on who should be a part of the conversations, XYZ. We're still collecting feedback by the way. So if you have any strong thoughts, if you had a chance to look over the proposal, links to the feedback forms are in the SA Insta bios, on our Facebook with a post. So just go there if you have any other thoughts that you'd like to share before that meeting where this is going to be presented. So I'm going to yield, and if anybody had any other questions on what I just said or any other updates mentioned, please let me know.
Senator Liang?
Yeah, could I also be looped into conversations about Policy 106? So it covers Title IX and faculty sort of reprimand stuff, but it also covers any other employee of the university, which includes DPS officers. So I think it might be pertinent to have somebody on the PSRB project, like at least looped into that meeting as well. If you could do that, that'd be super awesome. And then in terms of Public Safety Review Board, I believe I will be presenting at that meeting along with Joshua Dubler and Tom Gibson. I'm not a member of the Public Safety Review Board, but I think that for all of the portions that I am present in, those are public to my knowledge, as far as I understand, as far as what I was told. Yeah, I yield.
Okay, that's perfect. So on the first half, I'll CC you to an email to the person that's coordinating those conversations so you can sit representative. And then as for the latter, yeah, they do have like a measure where you can have guests come to the PSRB. Mark Fisher, who's the head of DPS, isn't a formal member, but he is a guest and he comes as well to kind of present at the beginning half of the meeting. So that makes sense, yeah. Thanks for letting me know. I yield to whoever has more questions. Xander.
Senator Tulloch.
I yield to Connor.
Yeah, can I get looped in on Policy 106 stuff too? I'd really like to have a justice on that. It's something we've been deeply involved in advocacy for the past 3 years. It's something that as an institution we care really deeply about. So any way we can help out and get some voice in there, we'd love to participate, contribute. I yield.
Perfect. I'll CC you then, and then I guess you can follow up with any particular justice who might be more interested in being representative, and we can get them the meeting invite. I'm gonna double check, but yeah, I think they're still trying to consolidate the membership so they can send out like a when to meet and figure out a time, but noted. I'll include you both in the email.
I yield.
All right, any other discussion, questions, comments, concerns for President and Vice President? All right, Alumni Advancement.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who attended any Meliora Month activities. The turnout was actually pretty well, even though it was all online, and students have given back some really good feedback. I am still continuing to collect feedback on the Mel Collective, and I've already talked to Joe Testani about, you know, getting seniors ready for the upcoming years, which is obviously scary, but needs to happen, as well as working with ISAC for their International Student Week and trying to get some alums and possibly have a panel about what their experiences were, like why they chose to stay in the States or leave or go into graduate education or things like that. So those are all of my updates.
All right, any questions, comments, concerns for Alumni Advancement? We can go to community engagement. Any questions, comments, concerns related to community engagement? Go ahead, Ian. Senator Rogers.
Use Ian.
Thank you, Devon. So I am just going to talk a little bit about the free shuttles that Izzy and I have worked on. So first of all, huge shout out to Izzy for making this happen. It was like so much work to be able to make this a reality. It was just an idea that we had a few weeks ago. And since it has turned into an amazing thing that we were able to get done, and again, I think I said this last week, but a huge thanks to SA leadership as well for approving this and getting funding as well. So this this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, we will have free shuttles for students to go vote early. For those that are registered anywhere in Monroe County, you don't even have to be registered on River Campus. And the shuttles will be going to Marketplace Mall. Where we have an early voting site. And in addition to that, it's not like on the updates, but there is also a site in Genesee Valley Park that you can walk to if you would prefer that. But I'm going to drop the links in the, thanks for all the love, guys, in the chat if you want to spread that around. We have graphics on CPE's Instagram, and I think we're also going to be publishing them on SA's Instagram as well. Yes, Victoria is the publicity chair actually for CPE, so she's definitely plugging that Insta. So please feel free to share that on your guys' Instagrams as well. And this is the link to the Saturday shuttle, and this is, if I can pull it up, this is the link to the Sunday shuttle. So definitely register for that if you're registered to vote in Monroe County, and also make sure that you tell all your friends that if they're registered anywhere in Monroe County, they can take that shuttle completely for free to go vote at Marketplace Mall. And then, of course, as a reminder, Election Day, if you're registered on a River Campus, your polling site is at the Saunders Research Building at URMC, which you can take the Blue Line or the College Town Express to go get there. In addition to that, I also wanted to plug CPE's Pledge to Vote campaign that we're doing. You may have seen this through either varsity athletes have been participating in this campaign. CPE members ourselves have been participating in this campaign. So I will be sending the graphic to probably Alexander, and if you wouldn't mind distributing that to whatever group chat you are in with senators, and then I'll also send it to, yes, I would love a CPE cape. I will also send it to some senators, and you just gotta like, you know, basically we want to, actually Victoria, if you want to put that in the senators group chat, it would be awesome if you guys could like post that on your Instagram stories and just tag 3 friends. It's just a pledge to vote. And you just kind of check exactly what you are going to be doing if you're voting in this election, either by mail, in person during early voting, and or in person on election day. So we really great to see you guys posting that on your stories on Instagram if you have an account, or if you're planning on voting in this election, which if you're eligible, everybody should be. And then finally, fun little update for you all. If you are going to be eating on campus on election day, if you're going to be eating on campus on election day, there are going to be cookies. Annie Rosenau, who is our amazing voter outreach chair on CPE, has coordinated for cookies to be in the pit and in dining halls on election day that have vote on them. Like, they're just little fun cookies that have the word vote. So go buy them and eat them and post them. And yeah. So yeah, main thing is the free shuttle program that is being coordinated by SA. I don't know if there are vegan ones. Yeah, I'm not sure. That's a really good question though, and I will definitely ask Annie about that, and hopefully get an answer for you. But yeah, free shuttles. Tell your friends to register if they're registered to vote in Monroe County. Pledge to Vote campaign. I want to see everyone posting it on your story. And yeah, cool. Great to be here, guys. Love you all.
All right, any comments, questions, concerns, discussion for community engagement. Sorry, Senator Rogers, you still have the floor.
I yield.
All right, public relations. Any questions, comments, concerns for PR? All right, ACJC.
I have three sort of updates. First of all is that we had the Halloween weekend meeting. Chair Liang has already covered a lot of that. So I just wanted to say a genuine thank you for the efforts of student life in general. That's been really helpful. And I'm looking forward to collaborating with them in the future in the sphere of conduct and public health. I think that speaks a lot to what happens when our branches work together. Beyond that, I wanted to just remind people to follow the code commitment and that we're role models, especially for our peers. So if there is information and communication that can happen, please, take it upon yourself where applicable when you can, to just remind others of the ways that they take action that can sometimes impact other people. So we're here for the public good. Just want to remind everyone of that. I just wanted to thank everyone who has been doing that, because I think that I've actually heard a variety of good things from SA tangential peers about the influence that some of you have had on their behavior. So I really wanted to just stress the importance of that. The third update is that I don't have any more public updates. I wish I did, but that is the extent of it. I have a relatively busy week, especially for tomorrow, so I'm probably going to leave the call shortly after this. I'm happy to answer any questions now, and I'm also available through Messenger and email. But I wanted to just sort of clarify that at this point. So I'm going to stick around for maybe 5 minutes. I yield.
All right, are there any questions? Is there any discussion for ACJC? All right, parliamentarian updates.
Hi.
Anything to add?
I think that I would emphasize that this upcoming week, probably after we take care of some business in the first 15 or so minutes, we're going to be discussing how senators are classified. This is something that we're constitutionally mandated to reevaluate. And so senator classifications as they exist now are to have some senators as class year senators and some senators for at large. And we're going to be discussing with Laura how the U of R should continue that, shouldn't continue it, and some ideas there. So anyone is welcome to come, as always, and share input. Yeah, I think other than that, pretty much everything speaks for itself. I don't have any other resolution writing workshops planned, but anyone can feel free to reach out if they want help with drafting legislation. And I'd be happy to host another one if there's interest for that. All right, I yield.
All right, is there any discussion? Any questions, comments, or concerns? All right, Matt, any updates?
Not really. The one-on-one meetings that me and Alexander have been having with senators have been going really well. I'd say we've met with over half of you guys. If you haven't taken the time to schedule a meeting with us yet, please do so. Other than that, no more updates.
All right. My update is that I have reached out to senators who would be next on the list to become the 18th senator, but no one has officially confirmed their spot. So we are currently still at 17. And then there's a workshop that I'm hoping to hold on meeting with administrators. It was delayed a little bit due to some of the bonding events and things that were happening in previous weekends. But I still think it could be really valuable especially for the Senate. All right, is there any discussion or questions for Matt or I? For me or Matt? Seeing none, we can go into new business. Is there a motion? Senator Liang.
Motion to approve the Senate minutes from 10/19/20.
Is there a second on that motion? Senator Tulloch. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we will move into a vote by unanimous consent. Is there any dissent on approving the minutes? Seeing and hearing none, the motion passes. Is there a motion? Senator Hawk.
Motion to approve Noah Hathaway as a senator on the Student Life Committee.
Is there a second on that motion? Senator Baker. All right. Essentially, this is similar to some of the previous motions that were made to place senators on committees. Noah had asked if I was willing to put him on a second committee. Noah, did you want to share a little bit about why you're interested in student life?
So I was interested from the start. I just had to move around my schedule to be more available on Tuesdays. But I'm very interested in the projects they're working on, and I'm looking forward to being able to help them in any way on any of those projects.
All right, is there any other discussion on the motion? Senator Liang.
Yeah, we'd be really happy to have Noah, especially since when Leah left, there is a hole in our committee, single tier. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Yield.
All right, any other discussion? Seeing none, we will move into a vote by roll call whenever the deputy speaker is ready.
Senator Arnarkin.
Yes.
Senator Baker.
Yeah.
Senator Bile. Senator Dillingham.
Yes.
Senator Hawk.
Yes.
Yeah, as Typhoon's saying, if like I don't hear you, just like say it in the chat or something. Senator Hathaway.
Abstain.
Senator Cosme. Oh, yes, gotcha. Senator Liang.
Yes.
Senator Liverpool.
Yes.
Senator Nadeem. Senator Changase.
Yes.
Senator Ramirez.
Yes.
Senator Rogers.
Yes.
Senator Sadi. Senator Salimi.
Yes.
Senator Tulloch.
Yes.
Senator Yoon.
Yes.
Senator Sadi, if you would like to vote, please make it known. Okay, seeing nothing from him, it's 15 yeses and 2 abstentions.
All right, motion passes. Congratulations. Is there a motion? Senator Tulloch.
Motion to approve Walid Nadeem as a senator on the International Student Affairs Committee.
Is there a second on the motion? Senator Ramirez.
Second.
All right. This is a switch from the Administration Review Committee to the International Student Affairs Committee. If Senator Nadeem is on the call, you are welcome to
Sure.
describe the change.
Yeah, so I wanted to change into the International Students Committee because, I mean, Eden and everybody at ARC is amazing, but I found myself being really unmotivated, not motivated at all, because I wasn't really interested in that committee and what work it was doing. Just because I was more involved with the international community and just I'm really involved with international students and I want to work for them. And luckily, Sakil reached out to me and we talked, and I feel like I want to work there, and that's where I will be more motivated and be involved in more projects. So that's why I decided, and I talked to Alexander about it, and we're doing the switch.
Senator Liang?
I was wondering if you talked to Chair Thomas about that switch and how it would affect the committee to leave.
No, I haven't talked to her personally, but I talked to Alexander about it in detail.
Senator Liang?
I yield.
All right, is there any other discussion on the motion? Senator Shangase?
Yeah, I just wanted to say I reached out to Eden about the whole situation, and happy to have Senator Nadeem on the committee.
Do you yield?
I yield.
All right, is there any other discussion? Seeing none, we will move into a vote by roll call.
Senator Arian Arkin,
Yes.
Senator Baker,
Yes.
Senator Belay,
Yes.
Senator Dillingham,
Yes.
Senator Hawk,
Yes.
Senator Hathaway,
Yep.
Senator Cosme,
Yes.
Senator Liang,
Yes.
Senator Liverpool,
Yes.
Senator Nadeem,
I abstain.
Senator Changase,
Yes.
Senator Ramirez,
Yes.
Senator Rogers,
Yes.
Senator Sadi, Senator Salimi,
Yes.
Senator Tulloch,
Yes.
Senator Yoon.
Yes.
Senator Sadi, if you're still here, please make your vote known. Okay, 15 yeses, 2 abstentions.
All right, congratulations, motion passes. Is there a motion? Senator Tulloch?
A motion to overrule the Student Life Committee PPM to appoint Devon Rogers as the chair of the Equity and Inclusion Climate Board.
Is there a second on that motion? Senator Shangase? You are muted.
The motion.
All right, is there any discussion? Chair Liang?
Yeah, so so to point out the elephant in the room, the reason it says overrule is because although there is the existence of the board, the process of which the board is selected is by the board itself, and currently there are 0 people on the board. So in order to have a person onto the board, or to appoint Devon as the chair, we would need to overrule the rule that says only the board may appoint other board members. And then I guess to talk more, the reason why Devon is being appointed to chair is for several reasons. So the first thing is because this was indeed the project that that Senator Rogers had been working on since the beginning of the summer. Initially, it was going to be a task force, but then after receiving feedback from basically everybody, including administration, including leadership, including executive, including the Senate, it was restructured to be a subcommittee under student life. And would work in tandem with student life to address equity and inclusion related issues, as well as anti-racism as it gets implemented across the university. We think that Devon would be a great chair, simply because he's not only the natural pick, but also because of his commitment to the work that has been going on for the past couple of months. Yeah, I yield.
Is there any other discussion? I see something in the chat. If someone would like to bring that up. I will not be bringing it up. Otherwise, if there's no discussion, we can move to a vote. All right, we'll move into a vote by roll call when the Deputy Speaker is ready.
Senator Arnarkin?
Yes.
Senator Baker?
Yep.
Senator Belay?
Yes.
Senator Dillingham?
Yes.
Senator Hawk?
Yeah.
Senator Hathaway?
Yes.
Senator Cosme?
Yep.
Senator Liang?
Yes.
Senator Liverpool?
Yes.
Senator Nadeem?
Yes.
Senator Tongase?
Yes.
Senator Ramirez?
Yes.
Senator Rogers?
Abstain.
Senator Sadi? Senator Salimi?
Yes.
Senator Tulloch?
Yes.
Senator Yoon?
Yes.
15 yeses, 2 abstentions.
Congratulations, motion passes. Is there a motion? Senator Salimi.
Motion to approve the Fabrice Cordero Loyola as chair of the Academic Affairs Committee.
Is there a second on that motion? Is there a second on the motion? Senator Ramirez.
Okay.
Senator Salimi back at it again with the great pronunciations. Thank you. Okay, so let me kind of, I guess, just go into real quick the application process, kind of similar to student life chair applications. We reached out to applicants from the spring to see if they were still interested. And then for this position in particular, we did 2 rounds of advertising for the position. So after, consolidating all the applications, putting that into like a nice little Excel spreadsheet, we scheduled interviews with all the applicants, had several people interested, and after significant evaluation and also reaching out to the former academic affairs chair, we settled on choosing Cesar. And Cesar has a lot of great quality that he's bringing to the table. I mean, for one, he's been on the committee before. He's done a lot of work in SA as a senator and in LA. And has always had a significant passion for the Students Association. Even when he was abroad, all he'd ever talk about was this institution. So I'm really happy to see that he wanted to apply and is enthusiastic about the role. And I guess I'm gonna yield over to Cesar if you're on the call, if you wanted to speak on your qualifications and what you specifically want to bring to the position.
Well, I guess it's yielded to me, right?
Yeah, you've been yielded to.
Thank you. So thank you, President Gorka. Thank you to Senator Salimi. Well, so yes, as Justina said, I've been in academic affairs in many occasions, since my first time as an LA back in first year as a senator, and then after that again as an LA. I'm very passionate about academic affairs. I had my experience not only in there, but in other, let's say, adjacent committees, working with Dean Mavrinac. I am very happy to see the work of, let's say, the informal committee that's been going on with the speaker and some senators I've seen. There's very, very interesting and clear insights. I agree on the positions they have, and I do believe that as we are approaching the end of the semester, we need to have a committee basically in war standing, right? So to treat urgent matters mostly informally for this semester, not imposing anything on professors, which might backfire, establishing connections with the departments, with the faculty senate, connections which I hope remain even after our time here in the SA. That should be an objective. And also to start working for a more formal methodic, traditional approach for our work next semester. I think the mental health of the students, learning and not forgetting the lessons from the spring, even if not everything can be applied again, are two of the most important things. And I am excited to be able to work with this great team I see in here, and like with people here in the plenary of the Senate. I'm just happy to be back in ESA. I yield.
President Gorka?
Yeah, that was pretty much it. I mean, also just like for a little disclosure, part of the interview questions included also acknowledging the fact that these groups have been working informally into the semester. Questions along the lines of how would you integrate yourself in the mission statements of the committee? How would you get informed on what's going on within the group, but also, you know, what kind of initiatives you brought to the table. So I see that there's some people on the speakers list, so I'll yield back to the floor.
Senator Rogers?
Okay, thank you. Cesar, can you touch upon, since you said that you have 3-year experience, I think you said, can you touch on some things you worked on and related to academic affairs in the past as an LA and also the senator, to give more context into your abilities?
Well, like through the times as LA and senator, I can remember the quite infamous but like long work in the so-called academic Bill of Rights, which was a lot of research, a lot of benchmarking. I can remember the work with advising, benchmarking to compare us with advising in other schools, surveying, a lot of surveying, which included like work on classroom sizes we had, and all those projects. I remember also, like, as I said, integrating my presence in the committee with my presence in the advisory committees to Dean Marinac, as to like push for the more material needs of students in the libraries, because like we all know how their spaces in the libraries are like very, very old. And some of those kind of like menial, small things, I believe are also important. You know, it's not only like the grand schemes of like how like the curriculum is going, how the classes are going, but also the small needs of students when they use even the infrastructure of the school. And I had experience with that. That's what I can like say for the top of my mind right now.
Okay. Does Ian submit you the two, or else on previous?
You can yield to Ian.
Yield to Ian.
I'm not a senator anymore. I can't can't just talk. But hi everyone. So as like probably most, if not all of you know, I was in charge of the Academic Affairs Committee for the past 2 years. And I have worked with Cesar in a number of capacities. First when I was in LA, and he was a senator, and then when I was ED and he was a senator, and then when he came back, we worked on a few things. So definitely I've known him for a while, and I am very confident in his experience to be able to take on this role. And I very much appreciate him stepping up in his senior year of to be able to do this. So I just wanted to kind of highlight some of the things that we had done together, working on the report on the academic policies of it for instruction, which, yes, I wanted to make sure I got that name right. Typhoon. We wouldn't know anything about that, would we, Typhoon? Yeah, so that was something that we worked extensively on the first semester, or not first semester, my first year when I was in LA and he was a senator. Cesar was always the go-to person to liaise with the libraries back 2 years ago. That was a big thing that he was a part of, and he was always reliable in making sure that he was advocating for what students wanted and needed in improvements to library spaces. That was very important. That was a passion of his that I definitely remember very well. He was always reliable whenever I had a question personally about, whether or not there would be something that we could do within River Campus libraries. That was something I knew I could go to him on and be able to get a solid answer. So I very much appreciated that. So I'm looking forward to him taking on this role. And I very much appreciate, like I said, him stepping up to do this. And I have all confidence in his experience to be able to take this on. Thanks, guys.
Yield.
Senator Salimi?
Yeah, I was just wondering, this is like for President Gorka, I guess. Was Ian, as like the former chair, sorry, of the Academic Affairs Committee, consulted in like throughout this process?
I
Just
can
like out of
handle that question too. Yeah, I'll just I will say that I really appreciate the amount of steps that were taken to be able to consult with me over the past several weeks about this process. I definitely I spent about an hour on I believe, what was that, Alexander? It must have been Saturday, discussing just kind of the role and you know, parts of how I felt the role should be, you know, the who should occupy, not like specifically, but like what the qualities of a person that should be in this role, and you know, all of things like that. So I was in not involved with the process, but I was involved with conversations about the process. So I very much appreciated that, for sure. So that's, I don't know if President Gorka, you wanted to expand on that, but that's what I would say.
No, you covered it.
Yeah, and if President Gorka wants to speak, I'll yield to the floor.
President Gorka?
Oh, no, I'll just be really brief. I thought that, was a pretty good analysis of how we went about it. Of course, we can't really disclose too much about, application information outside of the folks that are interviewing, so leadership team, but we did try to consult Ian where we could. So yeah, I guess that's all I had else to add, but I yield.
All right. Any other discussion for this motion? Senator Liang.
Yeah, just question for Cesar. What are the biggest issues you feel are facing university efforts to become an anti-racist institution, specifically in academics?
Well, I believe, again, that is this, what I like to call the war situation we're facing, is like the urgency of the COVID crisis, which takes multiple aristes, we would say in Spanish, but like it's that this changes not only the way pedagogy should be, changes the mental health conditions of the students, changes accessibility, it challenges the way we should approach academic affairs even in the future, right? I think some lessons can be learned from the whole process, some of the priorities the students have. And I think that's quite clear, but I think maybe an important thing institutionally is communication. I think it is impossible to formally or informally enact any sort of policy, and especially informally for the rest of the semester, if we don't have a constant stream of communication between student body, especially like the academic, like major councils they have, the departments, the faculty senate, the administration, and the SA. And inside of the SA, academic affairs, I think, has to work with other committees and with other branches of the SA government. And that is going to take a lot of coordination and communication, which also means that the team that has to be part of the Academic Affairs Committee has to be well coordinated. So I think it's more of a structures to let us work on top of them, which is the first condition we need to do basically anything. If we don't have those layers of communication set up, we won't be able to accomplish anything, at least on time, or anything of like importance, I think. And I'm happy to see that those ideas are already present in the documents I've seen from the informal work in the past in the committee.
So to redirect you to my question, and perhaps to rephrase it, what do you believe are the specific issues that face students of color in the classroom, other than the fact that we are on Zoom?
Sorry, I misheard that part. I'm so sorry, I misheard that part. Well, I mean, to connect it to like my mistaken answer before, I think it first of all exacerbates many of the issues, right? Because students of color are mostly are faced with like more strong, usually issues with both accessibility, with the treatment they have in classroom. Like this is also, by the way, a thing that goes before COVID, right? We have heard people who have worked in academic affairs how like issues again of pedagogy are very, very important. And I don't think sometimes the voices of students of color and of international students in general too, apart from that, are heard by the faculty. And to sum up that past problem of like the way teaching is done, in which teaching should be a two-way kind of thing, right? In which the voices of the students and the necessities are usually not confronted the way they should, which causes for, first of all, like bias in the classroom, right? Unconformity. And it also sums up as a second point, as I said, with it exacerbates the problems of accessibility, of and of like dealing with the COVID crisis right now, right? It's the vulnerable situations in which most students are now found. I think it's usually students of color who face even greater challenges, material challenges, which also go beyond mental health. I think because like it is not only a health crisis, it's a social economic crisis that affects the way students have to go to class and have to like communicate with professors and have to do their work and the challenges they have outside of the school.
Senator Liang, you have the floor.
I yield.
Senator Shangassi.
Yes. So you mentioned that like there was a lot of when you were like talking about the roles, you talked about you know, making connections with bodies like the Faculty Senate. And I imagine there's still a lot of meetings that you're going to set. There's still a lot of people that you're going to talk to in terms of like establishing those commitments. Seeing that we're like kind of in the middle of the semester, how much do you think that's how much work do you think needs to be put to establish those connections, and how long do you think that's going to take? And also, I'm interested in what your schedule looks like this semester as far as just like work outside of Senate and the responsibility that you're putting on yourself by applying for this position.
Well, as far as my schedule, I think it's fine. I'm only taking 16 credits, 16 credits. Nothing of great difficulty. I am very open with my time schedule. Most afternoons are free for me. The weekends mostly free. I don't have major engagements in the other like organizations I'm part of that would like impede my work with the committee. I can put the 8, 10, 20 hours that might be needed when they are needed. And as I think I said before, I will take calls Tuesday, 3 a.m. if that's necessary. I don't care for that part. I'm very open to work, especially with urgencies. Now, but I believe that I cannot take all the brunt of the work on me, not because I could or could not do the work, but because that's ineffective and unfair, right? I think, first of all, the work has to be shared equally with the deputy chair, with the senators, with the ELAs, especially, I think, by giving specific areas of work to different members of the committee, by making them like propose, you know, what they want to work in, so that they can direct their time, passion, and resources on those things. And I also think like contingent to that answer, or adjacent to that answer, is the fact that like I think we need to have an academic affairs committee that represents properly all the academic visions in the school and all the major communities in the school, because we will need a lot of like enhanced experience and personal connections to make the work more easy and to make it more effective, right? So I want to share the work. I want the members to have initiative in what they work in, and I want to have a well-represented membership in the committee as far as how the work is like organized.
Yeah, so thanks for that. Second question is, I know the question about burnout is always going to come back, and I know that it's been addressed early on in this meeting, but I'm curious in whether or not you'd be interested in rekindling those conversations that are pretty much kind of dying as far as the announcements that we heard earlier. Regardless, students are dying, like students are burnout, academic pressure is crazy. Do you have a plan for it, or like yes or no?
I mean, yes. And the first point of the plan is, first of all, to sit down and work on top of what has been worked before. I have to understand all the details of the work that's been going on through the months, of the information, and I plan to, as soon as I can, put it all physically and very concise, small, brief documents with the members of the informal committee, so that that is an open resource, not only for the Academic Affairs Committee, but to the members of the SA government at large, right? Because like it's the information that matters. It's like the past meetings that matters. It's what the school has told us that is impossible or possible that matters now when we have such a short time frame for the rest of the semester. So I think we need to, first of all, organize. That's the plan, first of all, is to organize into what are the open and closed avenues. After that, I would say the plan would be, my input is trying to make informal discussions and informal communications with the deans of the departments, with the head of the department, sorry, and with the faculty senate as to direct student concerns, channel them to professors in a way in which they don't feel that things are imposed on them or which will force them to change things and create a backlash. Is creating that like communication between the student concerns and faculty.
Yeah, so just simply you will restart those conversations and they will not die as far as the conversations about burnout.
No, yeah, that cannot die, but it has to like build up from like what has been done already, right? There's things that can be done and things that cannot be done clearly, from what I've heard even now and in the meeting of the Senate.
Thank you. I yield.
Senator Baker?
Yeah, when you initially answered Amanda's question, I'm curious, what did you think her question was? So I can know sort of like what your thoughts are on certain issues. I'm just curious, like what you were answering.
Oh, I just simply heard students. I missed the students of color. I mean, the audio is not working very well here on my side.
Oh, okay, just in terms of students. All right, and I will say in terms of students of color, I recognize that, you know, when people ask you things, sometimes like thoughts aren't always put together. I will say as a student of color, especially an American student of color, and I recognize that international students of color have their own distinct challenges. I think that's something that might need to be a little bit more on the forefront of your mind and just sort of ready to go with an answer, not necessarily like, you know, completely eloquently, but I think something more thought out would show that it's more thought about to you, right? That you spend more time thinking about it. I know that's something that I would appreciate as a student of color on campus, having to deal with the academic challenges because it gets rough. But yeah, I yield. Thank you.
Senator Cosme?
Yeah, so I had a couple of questions. Specifically, I would like to get a list, a sort of a priority list for the sort of agenda items that we plan on working on this year. I remember from the start of the year and when Amanda was appointed as student life chair as well, there was a clear set of goals that were identified and were like made objectives that we'd be working towards, rooted deeply in the Malura values of equity, inclusion, respect, leadership, etc., etc. So initially, I'd appreciate a specific set of things that we're planning on working towards, or well, more like you will be planning towards working towards. And secondly, the two specific things that I am most concerned about: A, student burnout. How at the top of your priority list is that? And A, is there a mechanism that you have in mind or a plan in mind that you can specifically use to work on that issue or ameliorate the problems for the students? And B, similarly, how much on your priority list, or where does the initiative that Andre's been working on since last year about incorporating issues of racial importance and racial injustice into the Writing 105 course as an academic chair stand, like, you know, in your priority list? And then C, off of that, are there any other initiatives that are sort of self-initiated or reflections based off of your work as a prior LA and also as a senator in terms of recognizing the sort of challenges, as Jan mentioned, as other senators mentioned, students of color face consistently, and how you plan on working on helping students, and both as a chair, sort of recognizing them and working on them actively? Like, is there a specific plan? And B, what is the priority list for that plan?
Okay, I'm gonna try to answer all the questions. Please correct me if I misheard something or like I missed something. Okay. First thing in my mind with both. Okay. burnout, which was one of the original questions I had already, is I think my first priority, especially for the rest of this semester, because it has to be dealt with informally. Again, we cannot force top-down solution faculty. That is almost impracticable, and if it can be done, it's gonna simply create tremendous backlash from some section of the faculty. That's not gonna be good for now or the future relationships we have with them. I think the most important thing, again, is to channel the demands of students, which has to be done as a framework, first of all, with surveying, right? And second of all, with direct lines of communication with the, let's say, major councils that are linked to each department, which I know already work on this kind of stuff and which already have relationship with the faculty of each department. Through those channels, try to, like, with the information we have, see what is more actionable and send it towards faculty, through faculty and senate and the
So
department.
before you go ahead, I'd just like to reclaim my time for a second. And I think this is a question that Amanda faced when she was being appointed, considered for the academic affairs chair position. Do you have a substantial network already that exists, and what does that network comprise of on campus, and how do you plan on using that specific network, those specific people, to get stuff done, even if informally, in the realm and in the position that you will have as an academic chair, academic affairs chair?
Well, through my personal experience, that goes mostly to, like, the libraries of the Maverick, that goes mostly to my departments, in which will be economics and political science. I do know faculty here and there working in certain spaces, the Scalia Center, which is mostly political science, people in the history department, etc. But I think that more important than that, because, like, as a chair, I cannot take all the work, even if I could. That's irresponsible, and that's tremendously ineffective. I'm more concerned about what are the connections of the team that I should form for the Academic Affairs Committee, the connections of the senators, of the deputy chair, of the LAs, because it has to be a complementary work. It would be a disaster to try to, like, put all of that on my shoulders, even if I could ideally, because it's always better to have complementary work, especially with the diversity of conditions of different communities, you know, international students, students of color, first generation students, that's a thing, and then people who belong to different divisions. And then you have the upperclassmen and the underclassmen. That's just such a complicated thing. I cannot, like, stand on simply who I know or what I've experienced. So that would be my answer to that. But I think you had two other questions. So could you please refresh me quickly on the other two?
I think the second question was working on the Writing 105 project that Andrea has been leading for quite a while. Where does it stand in your priority list? And I think my framing question initially was, what is your priority list, or what will be your priority list as academic affairs chair? Just to have a better sense of what your long-term goals for at least the year, or even longer, as you mentioned, for, like, extremely long-term initiatives is.
Well, first of all, I'm happy to hear of Senator Tulloch's work. I think Writing 105 doesn't have only to be a technical sort of class. It has to be quite the introduction to, like, the matters students have to work in. It can be an introduction into the most pressing social matters of the day for students. It can be a way of subverting some of the tropes and biases in academia from the beginning. So I really appreciate that. You know, if we can tackle the ignorance that reigns ironically in academia towards issues of justice, Writing 105 is ideal. And since it's a generalized experience for most students, even better. As my priority list, again, you have to see it from three different standpoints. This semester is simply working on establishing channels of communication, working on mental health, burnouts, and accessibility, which are the three main issues that everybody's facing, some communities even more in their conditions, and that's why communication is important, because we have to listen. I do not believe in top-down work. I do not believe in sitting with two or three people and saying these are the lived experience or priorities of the students. I have to listen what the students have to say and action upon their mandate, right? Which is harder, of course, than it might sound, but it has to be done. Then for next semester, having worked in, like, informally and trying to show faculty what students need, maybe more time on tests, maybe some leniency with grading. It cannot be a change in grading. We all know that already. Now, next semester, then we have to reclaim work in the other areas, which are like infrastructure that relates to academic stuff, which would be the libraries. It has to be classroom sizes, which was something we were working in the past. I would like to retake that. I would like to retake and continue the work in advising, because like one of the concerns students have brought me through the years is that like academically, as what professors give us in this school, we are a great institution. But when it comes to guiding us to our job in the future, to the connections and preparations toward a professional life after school or even graduate school, that we are lacking in that. And guiding, advising towards that, I think is very important. Connections with alumni, connections with other institutions as to give more opportunities to students, and prioritizing the needs of first generation students, students of color, and international students, and students from disadvantaged communities in general when working on advising and accommodating to the needs and different frameworks that you have to apply with different conditions, right? And the third thing I think is the universal or general framework, which is creating customs and habits in the committee, which is, for example, briefs. In my experience, briefs are a good thing. If someone, for example, brings a report, and I feel sometimes senators and members, LAs can say, well, what I'm saying is lost in the minutes or it's lost in the air. If you can create a culture of just like making a concise 1 or 2 page report of a specific topic, like why, for example, mentioning something discussed in the past, the requirements, how you call them again? I lost the word there. The qualifications for the school needs to deal with, and why that impedes changing like the grading policy and changing like the proposal for like a fall break. Those kind of things have to be at hand for our members to work with, right? And you cannot like ask someone who spoke on that and went to a meeting again and again and again, what are you doing? So creating a documentation of the work for the future of the committee and for other committees that might work with us, it's key. That's like, I think, basic discipline and etiquette in the work of a committee. And I would like to like put that forward in its culture.
Sarah Kosme, due to time, I'm going to ask that you yield.
Sorry?
Due to time, to be fair to the other people on the
Uh,
speakers list.
Of course, I yield.
Senator Shangase.
Yeah, I have one last question. Just taking off of President Gorka's point about like how, you know, you've been passionate about this role and how you've been involved. Were you aware that this position was vacant earlier, like early on in this year when the year started? And if so, did you apply for it? And if not, why not?
Yes, I was aware that it was vacant, but I, at the moment, believed that I had to wait before making the, for searching for the position. You know, now I feel at this moment that I like applied, I feel more confident that I had it was proper for me to put my own name forward. I don't believe anybody is indispensable. And I felt quite simply that now it was my moment to maybe put forward my service. It's as simple as that.
Thank you. I just want to say I'm very excited about your application, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the rest of the Senate thinks. Good luck.
Do you yield?
Yes, I yield.
Senator Liang.
Yeah, I think, to be frank, I think this position has been open for a while and needs to be filled. But I also believe that it is of the utmost importance that we are talking about anti-racist things that can be taken in the role of chair of academic affairs. We understand that like currently we are in a pandemic that is the coronavirus, but for centuries we've been in a pandemic that is race. And racial issues at the campus, at the University of Rochester, I think are incredibly important. I think in terms of coronavirus related work, no work is going to be absolutely continuous. There's going to be a period of time where we are waiting on responses of administration, where we are waiting for things, and some people are going to be idle and not working on coronavirus coronavirus-related things. In that time, I would very much like to see academic affairs look at specific actions to be taken regarding the experience of POC, in particular BIPOC, in the classroom. I think one of those experiences, more specifically, could literally just be the fact that in many philosophy courses, there is no Black author on the syllabus. This is the case for a lot of courses in a lot of different, sections of the university. This is essential that we talk about, that we address fully. And I think that, my question attached to that is the following. If you're appointed, will you be willing to work with the Equity and Inclusion Climate Board to develop more specific solutions to structural racism in the classroom?
Well, thank you for that question, Senator Liang. I believe it's supremely important. And it is true. The racism is a pandemic, greater even than the current, and which links even. Because I can say from my own experience and those of the people who surround me, right, that the death even, the poverty and the discrimination that this pandemic is creating right now, it's in many occasions the repetition of social ills from the past, and it's making people suffer even double, right? So I agree on the importance of saying that. I would be very happy to work with them. And to the specific point you mentioned about the absence of Black authors in philosophy, that's I'm not a philosophy major, I've taken a couple classes, but that's appalling to me. Just to think of for example, imagine not having even, I don't know, Fanon, for example, one of the greatest minds of the 20th century, taught in his school is appalling, right? So I think that is also a priority, right? They are interlinked and they cannot be understood separately. So I'll be very happy to change that, to work towards a change in those things, right? And it's also urgent, I believe. So yes, that I will be in the affirmative on that. And again, I do not know every single thing about the problems we are facing. That's why I'm here to listen and learn on what can we do. If we are here to serve, we are here to listen. And to that, I am not only open because I must, I'm open because I feel it's the duty of taking this position.
Thank you for your comments. I yield back to the floor.
Senator Baker.
So based on my experiences, hearing about you and also, the little that I've been able to get to know you, I think that you're an amazing contribution to SA. And I would love to have you. With that said, I am concerned about a few of your responses. There were moments on multiple topics where I was like, I'm not sure if I'm following what's happening. And I do understand that, we're kind of putting you on the spot, and it's very possible this wasn't really expected. For you, I know a lot of times these approvals just go like that and it's done. So I would like for us to vote on whether or not, we can give you, and this would be my preference, that we do give you an opportunity to come back and just sort of show what I know, based on what I know of you, you can. Just speaking personally, I would feel a little bit uncomfortable putting someone in such an important position, where I don't really know your views and stances and priorities, and understandings of certain issues. And so for that reason, I would like to motion to table and revisit next week.
So I'm interpreting that as a motion to table the motion to approve Cesar Fabres Cordero Loyola as chair of the Academic Affairs Committee.
Yes, I would like to motion to table motion 103. Yeah.
All right. Is there a second on that motion? Senator Rogers? All right. Is there any discussion on the motion to table? Senator Shangase.
Yes, I would like to ask Cesar, based on what Senator Baker said, do you think that if the Senate votes to table this, do you think that there's anything more that we need to know about you, or do you think that any kind of second chance to present yourself to the Senate body would help us have a clearer understanding of you as a candidate and a clearer view of your beliefs and your capabilities to fulfill this position?
So we're currently in discussion on the motion to table the point or the approval. So the discussion has to be surrounding whether or not the item should be tabled, not on anything related to the candidate.
Okay.
Makes sense? Do you yield?
I do.
Senator Liang?
I'd like to yield to Micah Greenberg in the gallery.
Yeah. So this position has been open for 6 months. And I just want to say that because that's kind of ridiculous, especially this year, that the chair of academics has been open for 6 months. And this year is the year that more than any other, the chair of academics is an important position. And I sort of think that if people cared and showed up to Senate, that would be something that would make a lot of people mad and sort of would feel that they are not being represented by all of SA. I don't know where you put the blame for that, but I think that that's something that you all should really be cognizant of, that there is not an academics chair, which means that there isn't an academics deputy chair, which means that the whole committee system thing, nobody knows who they would go to if they have a question about academics. It's all crazy, and I think that that's something that shouldn't go unsaid. I yield.
Senator Liang, you have the floor.
Yeah, I think there is a concern that obviously this position has been open for 6 months now. I think personally, I'm inclined to table. And I'm inclined to table because I would like to see a better and more structured response to all three of my questions, all of which pertain to the same issue. I think that if those questions were answered sufficiently, I would be willing to vote yes. But currently, I'm sort of not. I would be concerned to put my name on a yes vote with those questions not answered. I yield, sorry.
Senator Cosme?
I'm largely going to echo what Amanda just said. I think getting a clear response as to what are the specific priorities are essential to make a distinction at this point, and therefore I believe it would be much better to table at this point. And I absolutely understand the need to appoint a chair at this point because of how long this has been. But we've had debate over the same position in the past, and we've had principal disagreements based off of which we've not decided to appoint a chair. And I think it would be very inconsistent of us as an organization.
Please mute. Continue, Senator Cosme.
Yeah, and I believe we've had conversations about this position in the past, and we've not appointed anyone largely because of the principal stance we've had. And I think it would be very inconsistent of Senate if we decided to vote yes out of desperation without giving this candidate the opportunity to come in with a specific plan of action, especially considering the very specific issues that we have right now, which would both require the identification of these issues actively, recognizing all of the questions and answers, bringing answers to the questions that all the senators have brought forth, and giving a much more concise and specific both priority list and reflection on what the plans are and how it's going to look. Therefore, I strongly believe that it's much more important to table at this point than to rush into the process, especially because we've waited 6 months, and another week isn't going to destroy Senate, especially if we're going to stay consistent to how we've gone about this entire situation in the first place. I yield.
Senator Rogers?
I will motion to go into unmonitored caucus.
Is that a motion to move into an unmoderated caucus for
Yeah,
5 minutes?
Yeah, for 5 minutes for, yeah.
Is there a second on that motion? Senator Liang,
Seconded.
is there any discussion on the motion to move into an unmoderated caucus? Okay, seeing none, we're going to vote by roll call because hand vote is hard on Zoom. Sorry, Deputy Speaker Keel.
Give me 1 second.
To clarify the point that was made in the chat, an unmoderated caucus will be in a breakout room.
Okay. Senator Ari,
It will not be moderated.
Yes. Senator Baker.
Yes.
Senator Belay. Senator Dillingham.
Just to clarify, this is the motion to table, correct?
This is the motion to move into an unmoderated caucus, right? Yeah.
Correct. Yes, this is a motion to move into an unmoderated caucus for 5 minutes.
Yes.
Senator Hawk.
Yes. Yes.
Senator Hathaway.
Yes.
Senator Cosme.
Yeah.
Senator Liang.
Yes.
Senator Liverpool.
Yes.
Senator Nadeem.
Yes.
Senator Chongase.
Yes.
Senator Ramirez.
Yes.
Senator Rogers.
Yes.
Senator Sadi. Senator Salimi.
Yes.
Senator Tulloch.
Yes.
Senator Yoon.
Yes.
16 yeses, 1 abstention.
Alexander, for my motion to honor my caucus, I was kind of the 3 branches, so executive, legislative, and judicial branches are on my caucus. I know Michael made a point about who we included. Now my motion includes those 3 people, elected officials in those 3 branches.
So an unmoderated caucus is truly unmoderated. In person, it would be a collection of anyone in the room. So I'm going to interpret that is how this is as well. Anyone who wants to be a part of any breakout room is able to join any breakout room. And so it would essentially include everyone on this call. But it would be up to the people leading that breakout room, which I am interpreting as the senators. And since you were the one who made the motion, you can determine how many breakout rooms there are and who is in them.
Okay. Can we have a breakout room with just senators and executive and ACJC? A separate breakout room. So legislative branch, judicial, and also executive branch.
Yes.
Okay.
We are going to take a 60-second recess while I assign the breakout rooms.
Well, Eden, you'll be considered kind of legislative because you're chair of a legislative committee, so you still be kind of considered on there, I think.
Yeah, at first you just said senators, so.
I'm sorry, I was gonna go, my bad, I should go down the list further.
So we can continue recording. So as a reminder, the unmoderated caucus has elapsed. So we are still in discussion on the motion to table the approval. So is there any further discussion before a vote on whether or not to table? Seeing no further discussion, we will move into a vote by roll call. As a reminder, a yes vote is a motion to table the motion to approve Cesar Fabres Cordero Loyola as chair of the Academic Affairs Committee. A no vote is a motion not to table, in which case it would move back into the main motion to approve. And an abstention is a conflict of interest or otherwise a non-yes or no vote.
Am I free to start?
Yes.
Okay. Senator Ari Narkin,
Yes.
Senator Baker,
Yes.
Senator Belay,
Yes.
Senator Dillingham,
No.
Senator Hawk,
Yes.
Senator Hathaway,
Yes.
Senator Cosme,
Just to confirm, this is the motion to table, right?
Correct.
Sorry?
yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Senator Liang,
Yes.
Senator Liverpool,
Yes.
Senator Nadeem,
Yes.
Senator Changase,
Yeah.
Senator Ramirez,
No.
Senator Rogers,
Yes.
Senator Sadi, Senator Salimi,
Yeah.
Senator Tulloch,
Yes.
Senator Yoon.
No.
13 yeses, 3 nos, and 1 abstention.
So the motion passes. That motion is tabled. Is there a motion? Senator Tulloch. You are muted, Senator Tulloch.
Motion to approve resolution for a crisis response team to international crises.
Is there a second on that motion? Senator Changase.
Second.
Is there any discussion on the motion to approve the resolution? I can give it over to the resolution writers if they'd like to discuss.
Yes. So this resolution was a direct response to international students. We basically had a poll on the group sort of asking students for feedback as to what they think about the university's response anytime there was a crisis in their countries. And we found out that there was a great number of students who felt like the response that the university gave was either insufficient or inappropriate. And so we felt like this could be more structured. Like I mentioned earlier, we had a meeting with students from Armenia and a student from Nigeria to talk about what's going on in their countries, and they had great concerns about what's happening in their countries. One of the students said that it was as if the university was saying we care, but we really don't care. We felt like this was problematic. So we sat down, we drafted this resolution that basically is, resolves that the university creates a crisis response team that will issue out public statements concerning events that are happening in countries of international students, and also responsible for contacting each and every student who has been affected by issues in an individual way. We also are prepared to work with the UCC to offer their resources and other campus and other departments basically on campus to offer resources to students whenever any kind of crises happens in their countries. I'm wondering if Larissa wants to say something, but since she's not in the gallery, I am going to yield to the floor.
I'm actually right here.
Go ahead. I yield to Larissa.
Yeah, so basically this was kind of a response of an ongoing issue that ISAC had with international students for years. And if this situation, if this team, if this task force, if this committee had been in place maybe last year, who knows how things would have happened with other, when it comes to other, how do you say, conflicts that students have with each other, and when it comes to crises in their own country. And it seems like too often, because of a lack of consistency, there is a lot of nitpicking on what the university decides to make a statement about and what they decide not to make a statement about. And we realize that other universities are much ahead in this issue. Cornell has literally a website in which they just post statements about things happening in the world and in their own community. And Cornell doesn't even have half of the international student population that the U of R has. So it seems like this was just a recurring issue when Sakila sent an email to Dean Burns about it. And so far there hasn't been a response. So maybe when it comes to this resolution, if anything, it will be an extra push and an extra pressure for the university to do something about it. And also instruct students in general on how they can be involved with this and advocate for it more. And send letters, send emails to administration, and keep them accountable for everything. And the ISO seems to be on board with this as well. Wait. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I read Iman's comment. I thought that she was talking about this. I'm sorry. So the ISO director actually agrees a lot agrees with us when it comes to this resolution. And the statements that are following are also related to this issue. And that's just something that ISAC did in response to international students' concerns.
All right. Is there any discussion on this motion? Senator Liang, were you raising your hand or?
Yes. Yeah, so just quick clarification. I saw that earlier in the updates, it says that Dean Burns had not responded. Is that still true? Or is that only true as of steering? I was just wondering.
Yes, that's still true. We have not gotten a response from Dean Burns yet.
Okay, so I guess then point of inquiry. So if we were to, let's say we were to vote on the resolution and it passes, would Dean Burns have to do this then?
So I also talked to ISO about this, and I also talked to CCAS about this, and they were both on board, both with helping bring this resolution to life, but also help facilitating conversations with Dean Burns. So we think that's a positive. That's a positive step, and it makes us fairly confident that even if we can't reach out to Dean Burns, or if he decides not to respond any further, we have administrative sort of push that will do the job.
Yeah, thank you. I also do want to echo what Larissa said earlier. I sort of imagine like if we had this as the response last year, a lot of students would feel a lot more supported, and a lot of students would have actually come back to campus. I yield.
All right, is there any other discussion on this motion? There is a member of the gallery if a senator wanted to yield to that member of the gallery. Senator Shangase.
Yield to parliamentarian. Sign.
Hi, I just wanted to ask, what do you think that, let me rephrase this. If there was a crisis response team, do you think that it would have had a different impact on some of the tensions from last year between Chinese students and Tibetan students regarding the painted tunnel? Because university had responded in some cases, although sometimes it was insufficient. Like, do you think that with an international crisis response team that there'd be like more responses to cases like that? Or do you think that there would still be times where it was insufficient?
I think broadly what we're trying to do with this is to make sure that students are reached out to. So we're not necessarily expecting this committee to, solve the dispute between China and Taiwan, or any kind of, we're not expecting them to take sides or whatever. What we want to do at its core is to make sure that crises that are happening in students' countries do not interfere with their schoolwork. Crises that are happening in students' countries do not interfere with their regular life on campus. And we think that that can happen when there's a designated team for that that just will reach out to students. We know that this has happened before. The university has just not been consistent with it. I want to say the university very lightly because it's been really just members of admin, people like Molly Jolliffe, who took it upon themselves to reach out to students, and the response to that was positive. Students were able to say that, hey, I feel listened to, I feel valued. In the case of Africa, like I mentioned earlier, there's so many African students on campus facing different kind of crises in their countries. None of those students have been reached out to, and that's a problem. So that's what we're trying to establish here, that at the very least, students are being reached out to, they're being talked to, and they know that there are resources on campus to help them. I'm gonna yield to LA.
Hi. So in response to the question of whether things would have been better last year, I definitely agree, because when it comes to the sentiments of, how ISAC worked last year and how it worked with the administration, was basically that ISAC as a whole was not prepared and they were not knowledgeable on how we're allowed to react when it comes to these events and how we were to go about when it comes to things. So we usually deferred much of the judgment calls to administration, because they basically said, leave it on to us and we'll take care of things, we'll make the statements. But then at the same time, nothing happened. And it was clear that at that point, we shouldn't trust administration to just make the right decision all the time. And that's what this statement is pretty much doing, is just pretty much making the administration accountable and asking them to do better. Because for example, the two statements that we're passing today, it shouldn't be. It's great that Senate is pronouncing themselves when it comes to the situations, but it shouldn't be up to Senate. It should be up to the administration. What's happening around the world, and all the crises in Africa, Armenia, and all of that. It's way too serious and way too critical, and it has way too much weight on students' mental health and everything for it to be dealt with by a bunch of LAs and senators. This is something serious, and it needs to be treated by administration with more seriousness and with the actual support that students need. And it's something that Sakila was mentioning the other day. The university always boasts about its international student population, but they're not giving it the recognition and the support that they need.
I'd like to yield back to Parliamentarian Sahan.
Yeah, thank you. And okay, that, I think it perfectly makes sense that having a coordinated team working on this could not hurt the current status quo. It could, I think, only help. Even if, in some cases it's insufficient, but I think in other cases you're quite right, they might do more. And then I guess my follow-up is, did you ask some administrators if they already had kind of a crisis response team, but maybe that crisis response team that exists is just not doing enough, and then in this case, if we're asking them to create a new crisis response team when the current one already isn't doing enough, it might almost yield the same thing. I guess I'm saying is, did you just double check with administration that they didn't have some kind of crisis response team already, to make sure that what you're advocating for is something that can actually be implemented in a meaningful way, rather than, let's say, if they already had one, maybe a more meaningful thing would be, I don't know, looking into how that crisis response team communicates or determines when to communicate with students.
So yes, I did reach out to Molly Jolliffe, who is, I don't know her exact title, but she's a director of the International Student sort of office in CCAS. And she did say that she was, she used to send individualized emails to students. She didn't refer to any kind of structure beyond that, but as a director, she used to individually send messages to students, but then she stopped. And I want to point out that it wasn't her. This isn't like a job description thing that she failed to do. It was just a thing that, you know, it's just COVID times and everything is busy. And so what we're suggesting here directly solves that. The fact that if Molly Jolliffe was able to reach out to students and some students were able to feel good about that, why not have this be a permanent thing? Why not have the university create something structured and supported so that, you know, it doesn't result to certain students being reached out to and others not. So to directly answer your question, I don't think that there's a crisis response, because the two people who are responsible for international students, the director of ISO and the director of the International Students Office in CCAS, both did not only not mention it, but did not were willing to support us in terms of creating it. So I don't think that it existed.
Okay, so you said that they were willing to support you in this resolution for creating a crisis response team.
They are willing to support us initiate conversations with Dean Burns in support of the resolution.
Okay, and they were aware that the resolution was creating a crisis response team?
Yes, they were CC'd on the email, which had everything on this resolution to Dean Burns, and had follow-ups afterwards, to which they responded to.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I was just asking for implementation purposes that you get the most out of this resolution. All right, I yield.
Do you yield?
Yes, I yield to Larissa.
I don't think I had anything to add when it comes to this resolution.
Oh, I saw your name in the gallery. I yield to the floor.
Okay, is there any other discussion on this motion? Senator Liang?
Yeah, just a quick question. So is ISAC looking to get this passed, or was this brought for discussion and then intended to be tabled? Sorry, I yield.
Yeah, I believe the motion is for it to pass.
Correct. The motion, should this motion pass, it would go to me for signing and then to the president for signing or vetoing. The senator can make a motion to table this for a week, but it is not required per the bylaws or the PPM. Any other discussion? All right, we will go ahead and move into a vote by roll call when the deputy speaker is ready.
Senator Arinarkin.
Yes.
Senator Baker.
Yes.
Senator Belay.
Yes.
Senator Dillingham.
Yes.
Senator Hawk.
Yes.
Senator Hathaway.
Yes.
Senator Cosme.
Yes.
Senator Liang.
Yes.
Senator Liverpool.
Yes.
Senator Changase.
Yes.
Senator Rogers.
Yes.
Senator Sadi. Senator Salimi,
Yes.
Senator Tulloch,
Yes.
Senator Yoon.
Yes.
15 yeses and 2 abstentions.
All right, motion passes. Congratulations. Is there a motion? Is there a motion? Senator Tulloch.
Okay. Motion to approve statement of support to Nigerian students during a time of national crisis.
Is there a second on that motion? Senator Liverpool. All right, is there any discussion? I can turn it over to the writers of the statement.
Yes, so like as Larissa mentioned, this is a direct response to a massacre that happened in Nigeria. We had Demilade, who's a Nigerian student on campus, come to talk to us about events that are happening. We're saddened that the school did not reach out to any Nigerian student on campus, individually or collectively. And we thought that someone had to take responsibility to support, not only to support what's happening, but also to condemn the police brutality events that are happening in Nigeria at this moment. And we believe that this sort of links to the demands and the views of the Black Lives Matter movement and Black Lives Matter reloaded petitions. We felt like this was important statements to make, and more importantly, that we feel that it is important for us as a Senate. I feel personally that it is important for to be brought to Senate and for Senate to vote on it as a statement, to know where we stand as a university Senate, and to also support, more importantly, Nigerian students. Happy to answer any questions.
Is there any discussion? Senator Tulloch.
That was my hand raised from the motion.
All right. Any other discussion on this statement? All right, we can move into a vote by roll call when the deputy speaker is ready.
Senator Arnarkin?
Yes.
Senator Baker?
Yeah.
Senator Belay?
Yes.
Senator Dillingham?
Yes.
Senator Hawk?
Yes.
Senator Hathaway?
Yes.
Senator Cosme?
Yes.
Senator Liang?
Yes.
Senator Liverpool?
Yes.
Senator Chongase?
Yes.
Senator Ramirez? Senator Rogers?
Yes.
Senator Sadi?
Yes.
Senator Salimi?
Yeah.
Senator Tulloch?
Yes.
Senator Yoon?
Yes.
15 yeses, 2 abstentions.
All right, the motion passes. Congratulations. Is there a motion? Senator Tulloch.
Motion to approve statement of support of Armenian students' freedom of expression during a period of national crisis.
Is there a second on that motion? Senator Arnarkin. Same thing. Any discussion, statement writers?
Yeah, very quickly. So, like I've said twice, that we met with Armenian students to discuss what's happening in the country. Something we want to make clear is that we're not taking sides between what's happening between Armenia and Azerbaijan. We're mainly defending the freedom of expression of Armenian students, which was violated. The school did come out and say that these were recognized, the what happened that we describe here as an like acts of violation, acts of vandalism. But we felt like the Armenian students felt like the response that they gotten from the school as well was not enough. And so what we wanted to do was to not only defend the students as freedom of expression on a time of national crisis in their country, but also to stand in solidarity with the students in their time of crisis. Happy to answer any questions.
Any discussion or questions? All right, seeing none, we can move into a vote by roll call when the deputy speaker is ready.
Senator Arian-Arkin?
Yes.
Senator Baker?
No.
Senator Belay?
Yes.
Senator Dillingham?
Yes.
Senator Hawk?
Yes.
Senator Hathaway?
Yep.
Senator Cosme?
Yes.
Senator Liang?
Yes.
Senator Liverpool?
Yes.
Senator Changase?
Yes.
Senator Ramirez? Senator Rogers?
Yes.
Senator Saadi?
Yes.
Senator Salimi?
Yes.
Senator Tulloch?
Yes.
Senator Yoon?
Yes.
14 yeses, 2 abstentions, 1 no.
All right, motion passes. Congratulations. Is there a motion? Senator Hathaway.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second on the motion? Senator Tulloch. Is there any dissent on the motion to adjourn? Seeing and hearing none, we are adjourned.